What's up, everybody? It is me, Tawana. Welcome to From the Office of Tawana podcast. I am Tawana Blassingame, CEO and editor in chief of Queen Size Magazine. I am also the executive producer of the Full Figure Industry Awards. So, now that you guys know a little bit about me, I also want to get to know who you are. So if you are tuning in, make sure you say hello, tell us where you're tuning in from, and engage. Definitely give your feedback on the topic. Tonight's topic we're going to be talking about the hustle is real, but is it worth it? Hello. Now, we're going to take a dive into the attractions, the attraction and dangers of hustle culture. Now, you guys know the hustle is real. It is not just a cliche. We know if you are out there hustling, you already know it is real. So tonight, I'm going to be joined by a very special guest, um, Coach Andre. I want to make sure I get everybody's name right, honey. He is a certified life coach and a motivational speaker who specializes in burnout prevention. So I am going to bring my guest in. Coach Andre. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I am happy, healthy, and wealthy, Miss T. What's going on?
Nothing much, honey. The hustle is real. The hustle is real. Before we get into the topic, please tell everybody a little bit about who you are. I gave you a very small intro, but nobody can talk about you like you can. So tell everybody who you are, where you are from, and what your specialty is.
Absolutely. So, for those that don't know, I'm the rhyming realtor for your dream home when you need to buy or sell. I am the purpose coach for those that feel like they're going through hell. I am a speaker here to motivate, encourage, and inspire. I'm a poet as well. I go out and max with bars of fire. The book that I wrote is Changing Lives as well. A servant is what I am on a mission to serve, not sell. When it's all said and done, to help others reach their full potential by helping them to find their purpose, to find true joy, it is essential. Coach Andre is my name, and inspiration is who I be. It is true. I live to give, and you will notice me. I hail from right here in Houston, Texas. Been here all my life, but now I'm an international speaker, so I travel and go to different places, and I help people understand what it looks like to experience burnout, how to alleviate themselves and decrease the chances of going burnout. I also talk about other things like overcoming fear, procrastination, building discipline, finding your purpose. That's why I was a purpose coach. And right now I'm working on transitioning into really focusing on connections into currency. So a little bit about me.
So we have a lot of friends out in Texas. Of course, I am from New York, but we have a lot of friends in Texas. So
Yeah.
hello, my Texas
Hello. New Yorkers are moving out here to Houston, man. They are here. They're not coming. They are here.
yes. Yes, and I can't wait to visit. I've never been,
Come
and I
on.
cannot wait to visit.
Be careful because when you come, you may not want to leave. That's how it seems
You
to happen.
know, people keep saying that. I feel like Texas now is like the new Atlanta because at one point everybody was moving to Atlanta. People would go and visit and never come back.
Yeah.
Now everybody's going to Texas, never
Houston
coming
is the
back.
number one fastest growing and most moved to city in the nation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Hello to our New York City listeners out there. I see y'all tuning in. Um, Again, I told y'all tonight we're going to be talking about hustle culture, right? The hustle is real. And the question is it worth it? Now, some people, yes. Other people, no. First and foremost, we're going to define this hustle culture, right? What is hustle culture? Hustle culture is a mindset that prioritizes relentless work and productivity above all else, often at the expense of personal well-being and work-life balance. Raise your hand if y'all that resonated with you, because it resonated with me. It is characterized by long hours, a constant pressure to succeed. You often feel like resting is being unproductive, right? So people say this a lot, and I hear people say this all the time. Yeah, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Why speed up that process? That's usually my answer. Why speed up that process? But this is how a lot of us live. We are so we're so stuck on this hustle culture. It's like we don't know anything else. We believe that this is how we have to live, but it's not. And we're going to dig into that. Right, Coach Andre?
Agreed. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So here's my first question to you because you're the expert here. And you're going to help us out. And I say help us out because I mean, me too. I live this hustle culture. I know about it. I am, I work a 9 to 5 job. I work three, 5 to 9 jobs. 5 to 9 is when I get off the 9 to 5. Okay. I am a mother of two. I am a caretaker for my mom. So I'm hustling hard. And why? Right? We're gonna dig into this. So you guys, I do want y'all to engage because I know a lot of y'all are listening are living this hustle culture. So here's my question to you. Talk to me more about why you think hustle culture has become so prevalent. And has this always been a thing for us and we just never gave it a name?
Yeah, I think it's conditioning. From the moment that we started going to school, we were taught to work hard. If your grades weren't doing well, work harder, study harder, do more hours, put more time in. So it's been conditioned from the time we were young that the only way to get more done is to do more and to work harder. So it's a conditioning so that when we see we're not getting the results that we want to obtain, then the automatic default is to work harder, not knowing that just because you're working harder is not always going to yield the results that we want.
So you took it back to school.
Yeah,
See, a lot of us, this hustle culture, we think about it as in terms of working hard
yeah,
for money, right? You took it back to school. Our
yeah.
kids are out here hustling hard too. See, I didn't think about school.
Hmm.
See, and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna blame my teachers for this. I
and,
didn't understand where this come
and
from.
and
Like
you know what? You can blame them up to a certain point until you're about 18 or so, but after that, you got to look at you.
you grown, you grown. You
You
are
got to look at
absolutely
you.
right about that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's interesting. The school. So where does the line blur between the healthy drive and a destructive obsession? So, and I guess we can compare this to school too, because you have the kids in school who are just obsessed with getting the A's, right? And if they get the B, it's the world is over. We can also compare this to our work life. Like we're all chasing this success, but what exactly does success look like?
look like.
Okay, I'm going too far. Let's go back to the original question. So the blur line, tell me where that blur line is.
The line starts to blur when you are starting to overcompensate or you're starting to bend your morals and do things that you shouldn't be doing, that goes against your value system to obtain that
Mm.
result, or when you're starting to do things that are going to impress upon your health to get that certain result. Unfortunately, you may not even realize until later on down the road. So you really have to take a self-awareness and pay attention to your actions, the results, and how your health is deteriorating or not based on your results and your actions.
Let's talk about that in terms of this work life. So, for a lot of us, we are entrepreneurs and we still work the 9 to 5 jobs, right?
Yeah,
So, for us, how do we prevent? And I'm jumping ahead here because
yeah,
this is a future question.
yeah,
Um, how do you get that work life balance when the scale is tipped in favor of the work?
yeah. So there's a few things that can be done. Like you said, it's a lot. We can go real deep into it, but a couple of things that you can be done is you have to realize that you only have so many hours in a day, and the number is not 24, because all that
True.
matters is waking hours. Okay, all that matters is waking hours. If you're awake 10 hours, 10 hours is what we're going to work with. So, but it really comes down to prioritization, and it really comes down to time blocking. And you
Mm,
really want to prioritize to make sure that you're putting in time to feed yourself first. And the reason why is because if you're not good to yourself, you can't be good to anybody else for a length of time, a period of time.
true.
And there are, do you want me to go deeper? Or you want to stop there?
No, go deeper, honey.
Go deeper. Okay, cool. So I'll go deeper. There are 6 areas of your physiology, 6 components that should be fed every single day. All
Hmm.
right. You have your
Hmm.
spiritual self, you have your physical self, you have your intellectual self, you have your creative self, you have your emotional self, and you have your social self. All these different components, all these different areas need to be fed every single day. What happens
Mm,
is when you don't feed one or multiple of these areas, we start to be imbalanced. And when we start to be imbalanced, we start to overcompensate in other areas because of the imbalance. So you have to find routines to make sure you're feeding yourself every day in these 6 areas.
and this sounds like you have to really be in tune to yourself
Yeah,
because that was a lot. I was trying to think of, okay, when am I going to do A, B? Nope, I'm not going to do C today. That sounds like a lot.
yeah,
But you're right. So I think we're so focused on work. And this is me. I put a lot into work. Work, 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 work. And sometimes, I get extremely overwhelmed and I'm like, okay, I need to take a step back and figure out, prioritize, as you would say, because I have so many jobs that I do in a day. And trying to prioritize everything in a day, sometimes at the end of the day, I feel like like I didn't do enough per se. You know what I mean? And then I go to bed, and the next day it's like I have to continue to I have to finish what I did yesterday, and then also do what I need to do today. And I think that it compounds, and then by the end of the week it's like I'm drained.
right.
All I want to do is sleep
Yeah,
because I put so much focus into trying to figure out how much I'm going to get done
yeah,
in, I was going to say 24 hours, but you said don't say 24 hours. So in this time that I am awake,
yeah,
and it's not working. So sometimes you have to take a step back, and you're absolutely right. I do want to talk about self-care for a minute
sure.
because a lot of us look at self-care as, okay, I'm going to go to the spa, and that would not be wrong, but I think that our default is, I'm going to the spa, I'm going to get my hair done, I'm going to get my nails done,
Yeah,
and that's what, once every 2 weeks.
yeah,
What are you going to do the next day?
hmm,
Can we talk about some ways, some other ways,
yeah,
besides looking good, on how we can also take care of ourselves?
yeah, absolutely. So you have multiple things. You have routines, which I slowly talked about earlier. You have outlets, and then you have key elements for consistency. Your routines consist of your morning routine, your afternoon routine, and your evening routine. Now, some of us, most of us, don't have a healthy routine. But if you want to really set yourself apart and really get away from experiencing burnout, you need to make sure you have a healthy morning, afternoon, at least a morning and evening routine.
Hmm.
That's the first thing, is the routines. The second thing are your outlets. Now, when it comes to outlets, you have your high intense um, physical activity, you have the relaxing, which is what you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to have both. You want to have time where you're going out and you're sweating, you're being active, you're being physical. And when you want to have time where you're relaxing and not doing much at all and being out in nature. There's health benefits just being outside, period. I remember coming across a video of a young man who took um, those things that read energy, he touched it with his finger, right? And it gave a number. And he was outside in nature. And the number was very low. He took off his shoes, touched the grass, and the number shot up just
Mm.
touching the grass. So it shows that just by being connected, literally physically connected to nature, because we are energetic beings, the energy moves through the natural things that God put on this earth, the trees, the ground, the grass. All those
Mm.
things are an extension of us. So we need to be getting back to it. That's why uh, so many times, if you want to get away, it's great to get away to a place that has peace, greenery, beach, sand, those type of things, because we're connected to those things.
Wow. Okay. So what I heard you said that I need to start taking some more walks outside.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. If I'm going outside to the park and there's going to be grass, I take my shoes off. Tree hugging is a thing, grounding is a thing. Those are things to where we're getting back to nature. I believe in what the word says. And the word says that God formed us and put us where? In the garden, nature. He formed us with dirt. We are dirt. When you die, where do they put you? Back in
Right.
the dirt. We are one with nature. And because we are one with nature, we need to be immersed and submerged in nature to be at our optimal point of our being.
Mm. Hmm. Well, hold on. Let me take a second to soak that all in. So question from the chat is working hours. I need to stay awake longer or wake up earlier.
Great question. Very good question. I love that question. The answer to that question is it depends. So everybody's biological clock is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm a morning person. So because I'm a morning person, it is better for me to wake up earlier. For one of my friends, we tease each other because he's always teasing me because I'm in bed before 11 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock, and he's not even up at that time in the morning. So our biological clocks are different. Because I'm a morning person, I get up earlier. If you're a late night person, you may want to stay up a little bit longer. So you need to know your body, your physiology, and work within that. Now, the most amazing thing about us as human beings that we don't really give enough credit for is that God made us to where we can adapt and change our being. So you can be a morning person and through constant repetition become a night person if you choose to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but work with what you have right now and make sure that you're making those adjustments to feed yourself based on being an evening person or a morning person.
So I'm going to get a little bit personal for you.
Yeah,
Has there ever been a point in your life when you felt like you've pushed yourself too hard?
yes. And that's when I had to realize that for me personally, it was unhealthy for me to try to stay up and do too much. Two things happened. Number one, I realized that in the evening time, my brain, it doesn't shut down, but it's not the most optimal. I don't
Mm-hmm.
get the most ideas. I'm not functioning at such a high rate, and I'm not as productive in the evenings. I've noticed that about me. Second thing I've noticed is if I try to push myself too hard, too long, that has an effect on me in regards to sleep. And I found myself falling asleep at the wheel
Mm.
multiple times. So I myself will not deprive myself of sleep. I will take a nap in my car in the afternoon. No problem, no shame there. That's the part of self care.
Mm. Speaking of self care, as hustlers, reading is great for building your craft. i.e., personal development, can that count as relaxation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we should all be reading every single day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Absolutely. And most adults read at like a third or fourth reading level, grade
Mm,
reading level, which is unfortunate because we don't read enough. And we see reading is a skill, which means it can be learned, which means there are levels to it. So you can actually improve your reading comprehension and your reading skills. And just because you're reading slower doesn't mean you're comprehending more. So yes,
mm.
you definitely should be.
Oh. So we talked about, I want to talk a little bit more about recognizing the signs of burnout in themselves and other people. I didn't know anything about burnout until I started working in healthcare.
Okay.
Honest truth, right? And so it before then, I knew that I'd have these moments of burnouts, but just didn't know what it was called. It was just called overwhelmed, overworked. When I started working in healthcare and working with physicians, that's when I started hearing a lot of the burnout terminology. So we talked about some ways, and I want to talk more about that, recognizing those signs, and then how do you recognize the signs in other people, and how do you approach that?
So when it comes to recognizing signs in other individuals, one of the first things you want to know is that individual, because the reason why I say that is because that person could be that way for quite some time,
Mm-hmm.
and if you've seen a shift, then you could be recognizing something that's actually there versus that being that person's temperament. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So get to know that individual and find out if there's a shift there in their energy, in their interaction, things like that. There can be sometimes physical signs. Sometimes it can be things of lower energy. Energy is something that can be shown, but it's also something that can be felt. We are all energy beings, and you can actually raise yourself to an individual that can feel the frequency of others. Now, if you're paying attention to other individuals, pay attention to not only what they say, but also how they say it.
Mm-hmm.
So we miss a lot of the signs because we're not just paying attention to what a person says, and we're not paying attention to how a person says it. You know what I'm saying? So for me personally, when I ask a person how they're doing, I'm not just listening for what they say, I'm listening for how they say it, because that can be an indication for what's going on in their personal life. And if you care, because some people don't care, you can take it upon yourself to probe into that to find out what's going on, because there could be signs of burnout there that you're picking up on if that energy is off.
So for me personally, you know, I have people that are close to me and vice versa. So personally, I recognize when I get to the point of burnout, right? And the people that are close to me can recognize this as well because they're in tune to me. So for me, energy, my energy is extremely low.
Yeah.
Um, Now, normally I get off work, I come home, I do what I need to do, and of course I start working on the 9 to 5 jobs. I'm sorry, the 5 to 9 job is what I call it. And I can get on the computer and do some work, and I'm like, okay, 10 o'clock, I'm shutting down. I'm gonna get some rest. I'm good, and this is usually my routine. There are some times when I get off work and my energy is so low. I just want to go home and go to sleep.
Yep.
I'm just tired.
Yep.
There are times when I'm at work falling asleep at the desk. I hope my job's not watching this, but falling asleep at the desk because I'm tired and I'm burnt out. And back to what you said, to your point about how people say it, I do notice I get snappy when
I
I'm
was
burnt
about to
out.
get into that. Exactly.
Yes.
How are you responding to individuals? Yes. Because what happens is when you're not working where you should be working, or you've been overworked, you can get to a point to where you're out of character.
Yes.
You're not yourself anymore. And I've been that individual. The reason why I decided to quit my job and go full time in real estate as an entrepreneur was because I was no longer myself at work. When I was no longer myself at work, I started to realize that
Okay, Coach Andre is freezing up. Go ahead. You unfroze.
all right, can you see
You
me
froze
now?
for a minute. Yep, yep.
All right, cool. When I was no longer the person that my boss hired, that was a sign that I was burnt out. When I got to work, and let me tell you a quick story. I remember I got to work and my energy was real low. I didn't want to be there. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I don't feel, I didn't feel good. Physically, I did not feel good. Somebody walked in and said, hey, I want to work. Is anybody willing to go home? I needed the money, but I left. The moment I left that building, my energy shot up. The
Mm.
moment I left the building, matter of fact, before I left the building, the moment they accepted my shift, my energy shot up.
Wow.
That was my indication that it was no longer time for me to keep being there. I was burnt out.
Yeah. I that is me, and I recognize it. It took me some a little bit of time to recognize it. I'm usually I wouldn't use the term patient because I swear if patient was a disability, I'd be disabled. But I'm not the most patient person. I had to learn how to be patient, smile through a lot because I do work in corporate America. I work in HR. And so, you have to put on the smile, you know what I mean? But for me, I do notice when I start responding to people outside of my natural character is when I know it's time for me to take a break. And I usually recognize it right away. And people that know me and talk to me on a daily basis will recognize it as well. I get the, "You okay today? Can I help you with anything?" And I usually know it. I'm like, you know what? What I said, I apologize. I didn't mean it to say that way. I need a break.
Yeah,
And I take the break. And
yeah,
I think that's important is like when you recognize the signs about
yes,
yourself
yes,
is you have to take the break. Don't keep
yes,
going because it
correct.
doesn't get better after that. It gets worse.
Yes,
You have to take
yes.
the break. But go ahead.
Well, so you're right 100%. And what I don't want people to do, because this is what most people do, and there's never any judgment for me because everybody's in different places in their life. But I really want people to realize, to understand that it is a choice to allow yourself to adapt unhealthy habits based on your emotional state.
Yes.
Unhealthy habits based
I
on
a
your
hundred
emotional state.
percent agree with that. And I have seen it. I have done it.
Right.
I've done it
So
myself.
making statements like, is it freezing?
Go
Are you
ahead.
there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Making statements or doing things such as smoking,
Mm.
such as drinking, you know, anything that has a negative impact on your health
Mm-hmm.
as a mental or emotional getaway. You can
Right.
substitute that for something positive. And those negative things, they become addictive, expensive habits that deteriorate your health and other things.
So with that said, let's talk about strategies.
Yeah.
Let's talk about strategies. How can you set boundaries to prevent burnout? And when you do recognize these signs, how do you avoid developing those unhealthy habits?
Yeah. So the very first thing you want to do is make sure that you implement what I was talking about earlier, feeding your six areas of your physiology. Now, you can actually feed three or four of them before you even get to work if you choose to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing that on a regular basis, and if you are taking those breaks that you're talking about, and if you are taking that self-care that we're talking about, all of those things will play a major factor. But here's another thing: you can do all those things and still experience some level of burnout simply because you are in a position where you're not supposed to be.
Mm.
I love basketball. I remember reading a story of a very prominent basketball coach, and he had an A team and he had a B team. The A team was the starting five, right? They were the ones that were the best ones on the team. He took the starting five, but he scrambled their positions. So the center was playing point guard, the shooting guard was playing power forward, and so on. The B team was not as good, but the B team played the A team with their correct positions. The
Hmm.
B team that was not as good beat the A team. Why? Because they were not as good, they were in the right positions.
Mm.
So you can be doing all the right things. If you are working in an environment that is not conducive to what you're supposed to be doing, walking in your purpose, you may still be experiencing some signs of burnout.
Hmm. Interesting. So, what would you say are some alternate ways to measure success for us who are constantly chasing success? I'm gonna go back and read that question again. What would you say are some alternate ways to measure success that are more aligned with well-being?
More aligning with what was the thing said? More aligning with
Well-being,
what?
well-being, and
Well-being,
so
well-being. Yeah, the
yeah,
very
so
first thing is finding your purpose. The very first thing is understanding who you are and what you're
mm-hmm,
supposed to be doing. So when I say purpose, let me define it. The reason for your existence
yes,
is what you call purpose. It is the thing that you were meant to do that is in alignment with your gifts, your talents, and your automatic skills. The things that come easy to you when you're working within that thing, it's not going to take away from your energy. It's actually going to give you energy. So, for instance, speaking, motivating, encouraging, inspiring, teaching. I love doing this. I'm not getting tired right now. But if we're in a classroom and there's no windows and you put a math problem in front of me, I'm probably gonna fall asleep because that's not in
mm.
alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing. So you want to find things that are in alignment that speaks to the person that God designed you to be.
So to that point, for me, and this speaking personally, right? Um, I believe I have found my purpose. I believe that I'm living in my purpose, right? Um, but there's still, I still get to those moments where I feel like I'm just doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's I'm not seeing results or if I'm just working too hard and not taking a moment to appreciate the things that I have done.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
for me personally, how do I find that balance of taking care of myself, remembering to take care of myself
Yeah.
while still living this hustle mentality.
So the goal should be progression, not perfection.
Ah, all right, you said that. The podcast is over.
Yeah, I mean the thing
That was
about
a
it is,
mic drop moment.
if you're a bigger person, if you've got more done on Wednesday than when you started on Monday, celebrate that.
I love that. I love that. That was so simple. Okay. I'm going to take this last comment here. I'm stuck on the bad habits. So no Long Island iced teas on Fridays after I escape work.
Yeah, that's funny. It's okay to have a drink. Just don't allow yourself to rely on. Don't make the statement. Oh, I need a drink. Oh, I need coffee. Oh, I need no. Your words are powerful. You
Yes.
do not need anything. Stop saying you need. Stop saying I have to have. You do not. And you're teaching every time you say it, you're teaching your body that you need it. Don't tell your body that. Your words are powerful. Your cells are listening to you. Don't say that. So it's okay to have a drink because you want to relax. It's okay, but don't rely on it and don't tell yourself that you need it. That's
True.
the point I'm trying to drive home.
True. One last comment. I find it helpful to use checklists that I can reflect on, and that is so true because I do the same thing. I use checklists as well, and it's
Yeah,
extremely helpful. So but there are those moments where you forget to write down stuff,
yeah.
and I have to work harder on that. But for the most part, I do rely on checklists as well. So completely agree with your comment.
I think
So
checklists are good, but if you want to take it a step further, turn that checklist into a schedule
a schedule, yeah, yes.
and mark off things. See, your brain needs to be celebrated with small wins. So don't delete it. Give yourself the sense of satisfaction of seeing it marked off. I did
Mm,
that. Complete. Done. Give your
I like
brain
that.
that satisfaction of progression, not perfection.
Progression, not perfection. I love that. All right. So with that, I have to thank everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in to From the Office of Tawana podcast. Um, you guys, please remember I'm on YouTube. You're watching on YouTube. Please remember to subscribe, engage, leave your feedback. I love it. Um, Coach Andre, please tell everybody where they can find you online.
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram is very easy. You can type in Coach Andre, or you can type in "You Will Notice Me." The letter "U" will notice me. I just started a brand new community. I want to be able to help entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs with overcoming the mental, the emotional, and the physical barriers, such as avoiding burnout. So, if you want to join my brand new, no members in it yet, I literally just created it, free community, just go to my collab community, my collab, short for collaboration, community.com. And please tap in with me. And I'm going to be releasing trainings, posts, and information for all of us to learn from, come together, and grow. Because I don't want to go together, I want to grow together.
I love that. I am going to be joining. So how many you have in it? Will I be the first one?
Nobody, it's just me. I just
All
created it
right.
before I got on
All
this
right. You
call.
guys
I
don't
said,
beat me
it's
to
time.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
want to be
mycollabcommunity.com.
I'm pretty sure y'all haters are gonna tag y'all gonna go in there before me because y'all just want to prove a point. That's okay. But I guess I will see you guys there. Again, I thank you, Coach Andre, so much for this insight. It was very helpful. I am going to be applying some of these things as well. You guys make sure you tune in next week, Thursday. We are going to be talking about redefining beauty standards beyond the runway with Coach Jeannie Ferguson Goodlow. If you don't know her, look her up. She is an amazing model, actress, coach, and a friend of mine, personal friend of mine. So, guys, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you, and I will see you back here next week. Coach Andre, you the man. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.